Hello and welcome to the EduTalk series hosted by Biotone EduPartner Program, and massage industry experts. As massage schools, students, and practicing therapists have met the challenges that originated with COVID, the EduTalk series hosted by Biotone continues to support virtual learning and building massage community by connecting you with industry experts who share their knowledge and expertise on topics not only for class discussion, but career success. Tonight's expert is Shamaya Chah, a 2022 inductee into the Massage Therapy Hall of Fame. Shamaya is an active therapist with 45 years of healing arts experience as a clinician and an educator of anatomy, physiology, and physical medicine. She's a CE provider and has written numerous curriculums. Shamaya is intent on increasing the quality of life for her clients and sharing her wealth of knowledge with you tonight through EduTalks. Let's listen and learn as Shamaya discusses understanding CBD and your practice. She'll review the endocannabinoid system and how it is affected from the use of CBD. She'll review the history, the legality, the physiology, product development, lab results, and understanding CBD labeling. Please be aware of your local, state, and national laws and rules and how they apply to your scope of practice. We have a lot to get to. I'm going to turn it over to Shamaya. Thank you for having your sound off and your video off as well. And please feel free to chat questions and comments that Shamaya will answer at the end. So here we go, Shamaya. I'm turning it over to you. Thanks.
Well, hello, everybody, and thank you to Biotone for allowing me this opportunity to share with you the information I have regarding any cannabis products, but mostly hemp extracted products. And then there's a lot of similarity between that and marijuana. I am going to share my screen with you and let you guys have a look at the handout or the PowerPoint presentation that will be sent to you from Donnell tomorrow. All right, so right here it is. We're understanding CBD in your practice. I generally do this for a 2-hour presentation. However, I am paring it down for this event. Okay, you will have a copy of everything, so you don't have to worry about it. And Donnell will also supply you all with my contact information if you should have any questions or want further information. But this is it. We're starting out with understanding CBD and what is it and your practice. So basically it's a disclosure. She just shared with you everything about how wonderful I am and how long I've been doing massage and in the industry of the healing arts. And this is one of my certificates as a cannabis clinician. And this is also one of my events that I attended with all of the most prestigious researchers in the industry. And then here we're going to get into a little bit of history. As you can imagine, cannabis has been around as long as we've had plants on the planet, and its uses have been widespread. So it started in China over 4,000 years ago. You'll see it buried within the tombs of some bodies and some mummies. You'll see that it has been used for roots and the entire plant and benefits. You'll see, and I don't know if you guys remember this, but way back in the day, that used to see some of these tinctures, and they would have alcohol in it as a remedy, but also what was in there was cocaine. So I remember my mom used to tell me, when I was your age, I would go to school and I would walk 3 miles and I would have to go up the hill, and I did it in the snow and I had to carry books on my back. I'm like, Mom, it's because you were drinking Coca-Cola that had cocaine. That's the only difference. However, we can see that a lot of substances in plant medicine that have been obviously needed to have some type of oversights because of the dangers that they could pose. However, marijuana and or hemp, any cannabis portion, is no danger to the body. And however, that we have done some more research and have found out that there are some certain medications that will interact with it in a negative way. So it's been around for a really long time. And why does this one herb help so many people? Well, it's because we have an endocannabinoid system. Basically, the endocannabinoid system, meaning that your body produces cannabinoids, or a product or molecule that is similar to what is found in hemp and marijuana. The situation is this, so I would need you to understand, we have a lot of repetition in nature that does the same for plants that it does for our bodies, as not just humans, but any animal will also have an endocannabinoid system. It's very similar to the fact that if you were to have like hemoglobin, whose function is to transport oxygen and carbon dioxide in the body, that chlorophyll does the same thing in a plant. So the molecule shape of chlorophyll is the exact same shape as the molecule for hemoglobin. So there is this repetitiveness and redundancy within all of the life on the planet. So how does this work? Well, we have receptors, and receptors are from the nervous system. So this basically is a neuroendocrine modulator. We have receptors that stem everywhere, with the exception that we have no receptors within the brainstem. And what's really important about that is the fact is that you can never have a fatal overdose, because that's where your vital reflex center is. So you might feel like if you were to consume way too much marijuana, you would feel like you would probably want to die, but you won't. There's never been any fatal experience. But the reality is that CBD is the antidote to the negative side effects of marijuana. And a lot of people don't know that. But what you're looking at here, if I could just use my cursor, do you see these little sticky like things sticking out? This is a leaf of the cannabis plant, and these little sticky things are called trichomes. This is where the medicine is. It is not in the stalk, it is not in the flat leaves, it is in the trichomes. So basically it is located where the plant flowers, which is what we would normally call a bud. So where we have these receptors, we have two different kinds. We have one that is totally within the entire portion of the body, peripherally and in the inside, as far as our central nervous system, our gonads, fat tissue, connective tissue, endocrine, exocrine glands, leukocytes, spleen, heart, GI tract, and liver. So this is where they are primarily located. However, we have CB2 receptors, and they're located entirely in the immune system. Okay. Right. So the endogenous cannabinoids in Dr. Mushalim, who is from Israel, he had discovered the THC molecule that had the same shape as a molecule that we make called anandamide. They named it this because in Sanskrit that means bliss molecule. Dr. Mushalim was also under the idea that, well, why does this one particular plant have such an effect on the body? We don't just grow receptors to accommodate our environment, but we grow receptors in our body because we make the molecules that need to respond, or that will cause those receptors to respond. So we have two, and they're very much like CBD and THC, and that would be anandamide and 2-AG. Okay. Then this is what it looks like if you're looking at the molecules in the acid form. Pretty much they just lose the hydrogen. But what happens is as we make these molecules on demand, and we make them as much as we need them, and it's our body's primary response to stress, even before cortisol is released. However, we make enzymes that break them down so rapidly that our body doesn't get to use them as much as we need them before they're broken down into substances that we can't use for the stress response. So how does CBD help? Well, I just want to go back to this portion right here, and I'm going to go to looking at these receptors in the presynaptic and postsynaptic neuron. What actually happens is, if you see right over here, this neuron is actually sending out a bunch of molecules, and this is the receptor site to receive those molecules. Well, let's say that these are sending out molecules or neurotransmitters that are causing us to have a seizure. If that was the case, CBD would actually be in this area and go to this presynaptic neuron and stop it from producing those neurotransmitters. In addition, it allows your body's own natural enzymes to be not depleted, but inhibited during this process. So it's allowing your body to utilize its own natural endocannabinoid system rather than just taking a medication. Where did I go? Okay, so we did that, then we were in here. Okay, coming back to where we have it in the brain. So as we were sharing with you before, you can see how it's all lit up. Where you have the most common receptors are going to be where it's yellow and red. But then if you take a look right over here, right in the brainstem, there are 0 receptors. So again, this is the area where we have vital life control. So respiration, heart rate, blood pressure is all controlled over here. So you can never, ever have a fatal overdose of any kind of cannabinoid because it doesn't affect this part of the body. As we continue to look, I just want you to know that we have this receptors everywhere in the body. And again, it is there to help regulate homeostasis, balance. So it actually is a neuroendocrine modulator. As I said in the beginning, what it does is it does nervous protection or neural protection. It increases neuroplasticity. So what that does is sometimes we might become fibrotic in the brain as we age or from medications or from certain pathogens. And this allows for that neuroplasticity. And they have discovered that this is reducing the effects of Alzheimer's and also any other type of dementia to where we're losing some brain matter. It also regulates the autonomic nervous system. It reduces pain, and it works with the opioid system. So this is actually an exit drug. And a lot of people say, no, you don't want to add more of this stuff into the body, but it is an exit drug. We have been able to share with people how to use these products or any type of products and be able to get off of their regular drugs, certainly in coordination with a physician. Let me just share that. I am not a doctor. However, I am a certified cannabis clinician. So where it affects on the brain. So it reduces anxiety, it reduces psychosis, it reduces seizures, it reduces inflammation, it reduces spasms, and it reduces depression. Well, how many medications are out there on the planet right now that treat all of these conditions and have such terrible side effects? Really, this has been an amazing experience to me. And I have been certified by Dr. Dustin Sulak, who I've gotten permission for a lot of these slides to utilize in my presentation. So what is CBD? The name for CBD is cannabidiol, and it's one of a few, well, I'll say a few, at least 100 or more active cannabinoids in the plant that have been discovered. THC is one of those cannabinoids as well. However, again, it is the antidote to the negative side effects to THC. However, there's only a difference really between marijuana and CBD in a plant, whether it's going to be marijuana or hemp, rather, let me say it that way, is the chemical percentage of THC. If a cannabis plant has less than 0.3% by dry weight of THC, well, then it is considered a hemp plant. If it has more than that, then it is considered a marijuana plant. So these are all of the conditions that you have a one-stop shop here. These plant will be able to affect all of these things that are around out there as far as affecting the body in a negative way. And I know you're like, again, how can this one product take care of the entire body? Because it's synergistic with our body. We make the same molecules. So one of the things that they have also just recently discovered, and you might be wondering, why is it taking so long for all this research to come about? Well, because it's been illegal until the hemp farm bill passed. So we have only had the ability in the United States to do any real research in the last 3 years. Everything else prior to that has been coming in from Israel. Okay, so it treats all of these conditions. And go in the wrong direction. Okay, so here's a chart. You can probably see this on if you were to go to the internet and look for the benefits of CBD. But what's really most important here that I want you to see is that right across the top here are the most common cannabinoids that you'll find in a cannabis plant. And everything here in blue is what CBD will take care of. but here's what THC does. This is CBG, CBN, CBC, and then a variety of others. But what's really more important is that the synergy of all of these cannabinoids help with the outcome of any of these individual conditions over here. So it's important to understand that if you were to only take a CBD product that had only CBD in it, which is be an isolate, where they actually remove it via several different types of I'm having a brain issue here. So several of the different types of solvents, then what happens is you're left with only this molecule. If you were to have to take something for a particular condition, if you only use this, you would probably have to take 2 to 3 times the amount of a normal dose if you had something that was known to be full spectrum. This is full spectrum. And then how do they get it? They can't just take the plant and put it in your body and say, okay, here. They have to put it through some kind of a process. And these are the two that are the most commonly known. There has been a lot of research that has been gone and new technology that's out there now, but these are the two most common. Because we're dealing with plants, what the industry did was, why not, why do we have to reinvent the wheel? So because CO2 extraction is one of the cleanest and most purest ways to use extraction of plant matter, that's what they use in aromatherapy or creating essential oils, is with CO2 extraction. So there's no residual solvents within that product. So CO2 is really common. And then another way, this was the original way that they started extracting it, was with an ethanol. So ethanol is with the use of alcohol. And what happens is you want to make sure that wherever you, whatever products you are utilizing, if they use an ethanol extraction or any other extractions, you want to look at any residual solvents that might be present in the products that you're using so that you don't experience any levels of toxicity. So this is another thing that happens in part of the processing. So they basically take the plant and either they'll put it into a vat of alcohol for the ethanol extraction, or they'll put it into a CO2 extractor while they basically pulverize the plant. So this picture right over here is showing you the end product before it has the removal of the fats and the lipids and the waxes. So a lot of people don't like to remove that. And the reason is, it also chlorophyll is in here, is that they think that if you remove it, then you're losing a lot of the terpene profile, which we'll talk about shortly, and or the other cannabinoids. So they keep it in there. The problem is that it's in wax. So wax is repellent and you don't have maximum absorption. So even though you might have a product that has all of these cannabinoids, you have to look at the bioavailability as well. So you might have something with 100% and then you only have a 30% absorption because of the wax and other impurities that are in there. This is this picture right here is it's becoming more distilled and a lot of the fats are left out, but the I'm sorry, some of the wax is left out, the fat is still in there, and some of the chlorophyll is in there. This is going through a distillation process. This is the end product, what you'll get to see where it's been distilled, and this one has a little bit of other cannabinoids. This is just a straight up CBD isolate that they utilize, and the end product is this clear liquid. The issue for me in when dealing with that is I want to see chlorophyll in the plant or within the product itself. The reason is the function of chlorophyll, if you're dealing with this as medicine, the function of chlorophyll is the transportation of oxygen and carbon dioxide. So who doesn't want more cellular respiration? Doesn't make sense to me in some of the products that they do. I know that they do this because they say they don't like the way that it tastes. It tastes bitter and it doesn't look pretty. But when have you ever had medicine that tastes good? This is another thing that's out there, is that the US has patents on cannabis because they know that it works. They have the cannabinoids here as an antioxidant and neuroprotectants. So how come this isn't out there? But the United States has patented this product as well as shelved it because this was done in 2003. You don't ever see any of this information out there because the pharmaceutical company has them keep it under wraps because they can make more money with people using drugs than they can with people using plant medicine. I actually also hold 2 patents in the United States on a phonophoretic application for ligaments and one pending in Canada. So this is what the plant is. So here we have what you guys think to be is looks like marijuana, and this is industrial hemp. So again, these are both cannabis plants. However, this was the hemp that we we used to think about when we're looking at things like ropes and clothing and textiles. This is the plant that has been used. It's got long stalks rather, and very little leaves. Over here, this is, you'll see this is essential cola, which is where all the buds are. That's the flower or the fruit. And then these are the leaves. This is marijuana. What they have done is to take this plant, and they have combined industrial hemp with marijuana, and they created what's called agricultural hemp. They actually did that to appease those people who are having to become medical refugees when seeking any form of marijuana to treat seizures, where people had to go to the states where it was legal. Charlotte's Web, which was done by the first company to go out there that combined these two plants and created a product that was very low in THC and high in CBD to treat seizures for Charlotte. So that is how agricultural hemp came on the planet. So this is all not naturally God-made. This is all now man-made, how it has become it has become engineered through genetics. So these are some varieties it's talking about here. Sensimilias without seeds, and female flower has a long history of medicinal plants in use. So what happens when they're in the fields is they pull out any of the male flowers so that they don't go to seed, and so that it maintains the medicine of the plant. Okay, so this is how that is. I don't have my chat on. So I'm wondering if I probably can't see a chat here. Maybe there's a chat up here to see if anybody is questioning me. Nope. No chats. Okay, so the next place, this is what we need to, let me get on this page, is what we need to do is go here. And so what we're looking at is the difference between THC and CBD. They're all known as phytocannabinoids. This is a really good blow up of all of the medicine of these trichomes. That's where you'll find all the cannabinoids, all in these substances here, these little bubbles. They're very, very sticky. Okay, this is just showing the molecules. So here we have when people say, well, you know, why don't I just smoke pot or just have marijuana instead of CBD? I want the real things. Well, we're talking about medicine here. It's not about getting high. This is not a recreational experience that I'm sharing with you. However, we have some central nervous system effects that are what shows you that if you have 1 plus, it's okay, 2 pluses are better, and then if it's a negative, it's not so good. So these are the differences between THC and CBD when treating any of these conditions. So to reduce convulsions, you know, THC will work, but CBD is better. Muscle relaxant, THC will work, but THC is better than CBD, but CBD will work as well. As a pain receptor, THC is good, CBD is okay. Psychotropic. CBD is not psychotropic at all. Well, with the effect that what it does is it relaxes you. So it gets rid of your anxiety. So it might be psychotropic in that way, but it's not mind altering to where you're high or feeling like you're intoxicated. Things that will cause you to not be anxious. Well, THC is actually on the negative effect of that. CBD is where that is. THC by itself is a terrible molecule and will absolutely make you anxious. It also it doesn't stop you from being psychotic. CBD does, and that's what this is over here. As far as protecting the nervous system as an antioxidant, CBD is better, and to stop you from wanting to throw up or being nauseous, CBD will work, but THC is better. So the thing is here. So this is THC and CBD synergism. You need the two of them together to have the maximum effect. You don't need that much. It's not like you're taking a medication from a pharmaceutical company to where you have a certain amount of milligrams based on the weight and the age of the person. This is plant matter. So it really is dependent on what your stress levels are like and how much you might need in a day or so, or in a certain day. However, right here, I need you to understand that THC, it by itself will cause intoxication, it will cause tachycardia, it will it will cause you to feel really terrible and anxious, where CBD stops that and prevents that from happening. Okay. Also, it enhances analgesia, and it'll stop you from being nauseous, and it is an anti-carcinogenic with the properties of THC. CBD has also been known to be an anti-carcinogenic, and in the way that it has resulted in decreasing the production of angiogenesis or blood vessels to a tumor that is growing that is either benign and or malignant. And these are the different forms of products that people have. So what you're looking at is a CBD isolate, and that's basically a single molecule that has been extracted, and it is void of any other product. Basically, what they do is they put a solvent in there to create it out of the substance I showed you before. And then what happens, it will grow like a crystal, looking like a quartz crystal out of that in a beaker. And then they take that crystallized form and they bake it, and then they grind it into a powder. And that is your CBD isolate. A CBD distillate happens when they go ahead and they take the plant and it's going through its process of taking out all of the other some cannabinoids and some of the terpene profile that is reduced in there. And what happens is at the end of that distillate, it will have some terpenes, and it might be void of any kind of chlorophyll, and it will have some other cannabinoids in there. And then you have CBD broad spectrum. CBD broad spectrum is full spectrum, meaning the whole plant, but void of THC. In order for them to create a broad spectrum product, they have to subject the plant matter to a lot of different solvents. So they have to use solvents to take out the CBD. They have to use solvents to take out the THC. They have to use solvents to take out the CBN, the CBG, the chlorophyll, the terpenes. And what actually happens is that when they create that product, then they put everything back minus the THC. So a broad spectrum product has been known to have been a lot of solvents within it. So it's really important to have a lab test on that to make sure there are no residual solvents that can be very toxic. Full spectrum is the entire whole plant, and basically it contains all the cannabinoids that are present within that plant at that time. So what we have here is this is the best form of medicine. However, if in fact you have to be drug tested, and whether you work for a hospital or you fly an airplane, what happens is that you cannot have THC of any kind. And even though CBD is not going to get you high, if you have full spectrum, what's going to occur is you're going to have it's fat soluble. So full spectrum will go ahead and accumulate in the body after about 30 days that you will pop positive on a drug test with THC, even though you will not be getting high. That is something that will happen. Okay, so you have to be careful of that. There are, like I said, there are so many different phytoconstituents or other active cannabinoids in the body. There are over 150. Let me get out of that. And so that you're looking at, so we have THC, CBN, CBD, CBC, CBG, THCV, and other minor cannabinoids. In the plant, you are mostly looking at these as the major cannabinoids, and anything else is a minor cannabinoid. Terpenes and flavonoids also have therapeutic properties. And then when you're looking at the acidic, which is raw, okay, so everything's in its raw form when you are looking at a plant that has not been processed. What do I mean by that? When they measure CBD in the plant, it basically is looking at CBDA. In order for it to become CBD, so this is in the acid form, same thing with THC in the acid form, it has to be what's called decarboxylated. And that means it has to be heated up to a certain temperature. So once you decarboxylate it or heat it up, it loses the acid form, and then it becomes active CBD and active THC. These are medicinally appropriate as well, and you will not pop positive on a THCA product. And they have major antioxidant properties and antimicrobial properties. All right, so what I'm looking at now, these are terpenes, and this part is important. So terpenes are what the whole basis of aromatherapy is on. And so they have certain effects on you. Like when you smell lavender, lavender makes you relax. And lavender is because of the terpene linalool that you'll see right over here. So all these plants have medicinal effects on the body. And there was herbal pharmacology way long before there was chemical pharmacology. So all of these plants have amazing effects and on the body based on their terpene profile. However, what's important is that these are indigenous to all plant life. So marijuana and hemp, or cannabis, if I could go that way, these are the most common ones. You have limonene, pinene, myrcene, linalool, and beta-caryophyllene. All of these combined are to cause relaxation and reduce anxiety. This reduces inflammation and is an analgesic. This one also is an anti-malarial, and it's also an analgesic. When you look at limonene and pinene, they're very much make you focused and awake. So different terpenes and different strains, and that's what all these new cultivars are doing, creating them genetically to have an outcome that would be specifically desirable for a particular condition to treat. There are a lot of different product applications. And again, Donnell, I need you to shoot me a text message when it's my time. I seem to have lost my chat ability. Anyway, so methods of product delivery, there's a lot of them. So what you have is a tincture, and that's pretty common. Tinctures are they used to be put in just alcohol. And the thing about tinctures, with it being in an alcohol base, is that most people would put it under their tongue because alcohol is a carbohydrate, and you have carbohydrate absorption in your mouth, and under your tongue is where it begins to digest. So with that being said, I want you to understand that most of the tinctures that are out there are not in thank you, Donnell, are not in alcohol. They're in fat or oils, so that you don't have to put them under your tongue. However, they should take between 2 to 3 minutes to start to feel the effects. They'll probably peak in about 20 to 60 minutes, and it'll last about 4 hours to 6 hours, depending on the amount of milligrams that you have taken. If you don't have a gallbladder and they are in some type of oil, then you might want to suggest a fat enzyme to help metabolize it easier and for better absorption. There are a lot of topicals that are out there, and what's important to understand, a topical could be a massage oil, it could be in a salve, it could be in a butter, it could be in a cream. What you really want to be aware of is, one, topicals do not enter into the blood vascular system. So even if they had THC in them, there would be no ability for you to absorb THC into the blood vessels. So it only affects the receptors, and those receptors come up from the bone, through the muscle, through the fascia, through the skin, and they are affected to treat all of those tissues that they pass through. And then there's another, and again, for topical will last anywhere between 2 and 4 hours, depending on the intensity of the injury and or the seriousness of the neuropathy, and again, the milligrams that are within that topical. With soft gels, you'll find there's a lot of people that take them. There's only one company in the country that actually produces them to be vegan. Otherwise, they're all made out of gelatin, and they take between 6 to 8. They'll last between 6 and 8 hours, but they take about 45 minutes to an hour to kick in for you to feel them. There are vapes that are out there, and I'm not really a big fan of inhaling anything that has been you're not really supposed to inhale any type of vegetable glycerin or propylene glycol, which most of them have. The thing about it is, by ingesting or inhaling this, you're only doing a microdose, which is about 2 milligrams for every, I think the typical protocol is 3 seconds of an inhalation 3 times, and you're getting about 2 milligrams that will be absorbed into the blood vascular system. It won't last very long because you're microdosing. However, it's not the healthiest way to take in the product. There's water that's out there, and pretty much with the water, any nano water, there's some that are made with full spectrum, and there's some, depending on the amount of milligrams, again, will cross the blood-brain barrier within about 45 seconds. There's some that are out there that are just really kind of marketed, that only have like 10 milligrams in an 8-ounce bottle of water, that really will have no therapeutic value for you. I need to go to labeling, and then I want to go ahead and talk to you about lab reports. And so you guys need to know what you're looking for. What's really important, and this was done early. This was done like 4 years ago and 5 years ago almost. So everything has been really mislabeled because there's no regulation in this industry. What they have instilled first now is we have to, in the state of Florida at least, we have to go ahead and have a QR code that would lead you to a lab report for what it is that you're looking at. A lot of people have that QR code go to their website, so you peruse the other products they have, and then you have to kind of hunt and peck and look for the matching lab report for the product you're looking at. It's really important that you guys understand that. So I'm going to share with you, again, because this industry is not regulated, I'm going to open up a lab report right here so you guys can see this. Now, I don't know what this is. I'm getting out of there. And this is the meeting chat. Can you guys probably don't want to see that? Okay, so this is a certificate of analysis, which is known as a lab report. And what this is supposed to have is 1,500 milligrams of CBD. That's what I have in there. Okay, so in any of these products that you're looking at. So what it's showing you, and this is the part that's really important, is that THC is only measured by dry weight, not by milligram, to keep it legal. So what we're looking at here, you'll see that there are a lot of different cannabinoids that are showing right over here at the top here. And then here you'll see if it's ND, it's not detectable. And then you'll see the some portions that are. And what you're looking at the second column here, these are the milligrams. So there's 1,746 milligrams in this 1,500 milligram bottle. Now, you would think that that would be a mislabel, but there is this 20% margin that allows us to be either above or below and still be within the correct label framework. So this is what you want to look at to see what the cannabinoids are, which ones are in there. So this has CBG, you're looking at CBD, but you really want to go over to where it says THC. And let me see, because this is kind of small. So the THC is, where are you, THC? Delta 9? Nope, that's Delta 10. And here it is, Delta 9, not detectable. No, that's D8. Here we go, Delta 9. Okay, so we have 0.1781%. That is still less than 0.3%. All right, even though there are 53.5 milligrams within this container, you're still okay with it because it's based on weight. So then the other things you want to look for safety is not just potency. This is a potency test, right? You want to look for certainly what terpenes are in here, so you know the outcome that you're going to experience. So this has a lot of beta-caryophyllene, which is a pain reducer and an anti-inflammatory. Humulene, the same. Bisabolol will be relaxing. Over here we have guaiol and beta-caryophyllene. Those are all anti-inflammatory and analgesics, right? So you get to see that. Also, what is tested here, I test for pesticides, and these are real. This is a full panel test. This is why it's important for you guys to see this, that there are no pesticides that are here. So we know the product was organically grown. Also, we want to make sure that there's no residual solvents, so everything has passed here. And then we go to the microbial platform, and that has all passed in heavy metals. So again, you want to make sure that your products are actually very pristine. That takes care of that. So it's really important, again, for you to understand that the product you're getting is efficacious as what it says on the label, and that, again, because this industry is not so regulated, that you're not getting a product that is not going to be helpful to you or that is labeled wrong. We have the receptor site in our skin, so as you can see, and again, it comes up through from the bone all the way through. This part, I just want to pass this part. We understand this because as massage therapists, we do this all the time. However, what I really want you to understand is that when you guys are making your own products, or if you have products that are out there, and some of them use thermal agents like menthol, peppermint, eucalyptus, capsaicin, if they use that, they are able to say that those products are actually pain reducing. But you can't just say pain reducing for CBD. You're not allowed to make any medical claims, and all of those will fool you that you're not in pain. but CBD is curative. Those products are not curative. The other thing that's really important is that when you have those products with those thermal applications in there, you want to be careful not to put a hot pack or a cold pack on the body, as it will create a chemical burn. And that is exactly what I just said. Okay, and there we have it. So Donnell, I'm going to get us out of here and not share my screen anymore. Maybe stop share, and then I'm up.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much.
That was in really quick time.
No kidding. You shared so much information, and it sounded like the beginning of it was mostly ingestible as opposed to topicals.
Well, yes.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that. 2 chats did come in, and folks still feel free to chat any questions or comments. We have a few minutes to continue to answer, for Shamaya to continue to answer. So Diane is asking, so full spectrum has THC properties?
Yes, it does.
And I don't know, Diane, if you have a follow-up question with that?
Well, but there's a follow-up question from Suzanne. Does THC in full spectrum have a limit? Yes.
Yes.
So the limit in all CBD products or hemp products are 0.3% of THC in dry weight or less. So the product cannot have that or more.
Okay. And
no other questions? I did that
no,
so
I
good.
don't.
Nobody's asking me anything, or did I just like, oh my God, she's talking so much. What is she saying?
Well, they'll spend more time with the handout, but yeah, it was very informational. And just again, I mean, when you're looking at labels, what is if you might explain what might be a key point for a topical to focus on?
Okay, well, regardless of whether it's a topical or not, but specifically in a topical, one, you want the QR code on the product so that you can see the lab report that it has been tested for efficacy. The other thing you want on that label is the amount of milligrams that are within the entire container. Right, and that is what's in the entire container. That's not what you take every time that you use it. An example that's easier is if you're using a 30 ml bottle for a CBD oil that you're taking, that 30 ml is what's in the entire container. So if you have a product that says 1500 milligrams, then that product is divided by 30, because they're 1 ml servings, and that would be 50 milligrams per serving. So there are 30 servings of 50 milligrams each. That's what's important there. And also on a topical product, you want it to be void of any petroleum based products and or any kind of waxes, even beeswax. People think beeswax is great to utilize, but it's a wax. It doesn't allow absorption. So you want it to be void of petroleum and wax. You have another question?
All right. Well, iPad, who I'm not sure it is, they did have a question about products, but I don't. I would like to let you follow up with that person individually.
Okay.
Because products is so broad, be it topicals or ingestibles. So
right. And there's a lot of bad products out there.
Excuse me?
There's a lot of very bad products out there.
And do you see anything on nationally happening in the industry that because every state seems to have different regulations within states?
There's really only 2 states that you're not allowed to sell products to where it's completely void, and that is the Dakotas. We're not allowed to sell there or even mention it there. As massage therapists, we are not allowed to make any medical claims, but as far as you saying, okay, you need to take this, you can prescribe it. When I'm using my CBD oil and or topical applications, I always ask permission. And also I have the usage of the products that I use have some essential oils in them, and some people are very sensitive to that. So I always ask about that. In addition, one of the reasons that I love to use CBD topicals is because when I'm using it in my massage, then my hands are being really taken care of as well. I don't have painful hands anymore. It's something you need help after 45 years of doing this in the industry, so anything helps.
Okay, I saw something else come in.
Yes,
CBD is offered for eczema by Biotone Lab Blend. What could be recommended for psoriasis, if anything?
Well, it's the same. When you're using topicals, it's really good to utilize. It'll take the pain away. It'll take the sting away. It'll add moisture. However, that is a systemic dysfunction. So even though they have those blends, you can't go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm not sharing my screen anymore. Okay. You can't, how do I say this? You can't bring back dead tissue. So eczema outbreaks and psoriasis outbreaks, they're dead tissue. So if you were to take any of those CBD products internally, then you would have a better effect on it, although it does make it more comfortable. You can't prevent it once it's come out. You can't prevent it with the topicals. You would have to do something to ingest to reduce inflammation systemically.
All right. Well, if there are any last questions, please submit them or comments, and we'll be wrapping up. And in wrapping up, I'd like to thank you, Shamaya, for sharing this wealth of information. We have one EduTalk left in 2022, and that will be, which I feel is on a very important topic as well. Sandy Fritz will be the presenter December 6th. And it's professional boundaries using draping. So though draping is learned in school, I think Sandy will have some good insights on how to protect yourself and your client. And please join us again.
Okay.
And
there's skincare products for different conditions. Okay, so there's somebody that's asking me, do you feel that this is good in skincare products for different conditions? Absolutely. It's great in any kind of skin condition, whether it's hives, burns. One of the things I want to say is that, I cook a lot, as we were talking about this morning, and when if I burn myself, sometimes I'm a little careless. I keep a topical right there in my kitchen, and I put it on immediately, and it stops the burn, it stops the pain, stops the blistering, and it stops the redness like within seconds. So it's a great adjunct to utilize. And someone is agreeing with me and saying thanks. You're welcome.
well, thank you, Shamaya. And again, folks, watch your inbox tomorrow for the follow-up recording link, handout, contact information. Again, our next and check your spam folder as well if you don't see an email by tomorrow afternoon. And then again, upcoming talk, December 6th with Sandy Fritz on professional boundaries using draping. And we launched 2023, January 10th, with Paul Kohlmeyer on cupping Eastern versus Western processes. As we head into the holiday season, everyone stay safe, be well, take care, and thank you all for joining us. And thank you again, Shamaya.
Thank you. My pleasure. It was a pleasure to see you guys, and stay blessed and have a great holiday. Okay. A great holiday.
Thank you. You too. Take care, everyone.